Well, good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Emily Sherrod here with Jack Leto, and today we're talking the Hawkeyes.
Yeah, Iowa taking on USC out in Southern California, coming up at 2:30 on the Big Ten Network, and we're excited to count you down to kick off a big game here, Emily. What do you generally need to know about this one, Hawkeye fans?
I don't really know. I'm not the biggest of Hawkeye fans, right? I was raised on the other side of the state where we have a little bit more of a mix between Hawkeyes, Iowa State, and Nebraska. So tell me, what does Iowa need to do to win?
Well, we got to look at quarterback play. Mark Gronowski played fairly well against Oregon, and we've been waiting for this guy to lead the game-winning drive. And man, he was close. He led the go-ahead drive, obviously. We all saw it last week, 93 yards on 12 plays, running it in for a touchdown. Iowa looks like they're going to win against Oregon, but obviously Oregon comes back, kicks the field goal. But Gronowski played really well. Final stats, 10 of 18 against Oregon, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. He also had a rushing touchdown. I'm looking for Gronowski to play similarly. You got to play mistake-free football against USC. You cannot give this USC offense a chance on a short field because they're really, really good. We're going to talk about the offense in a second, but a quote from Mark Gronowski is on the Trojan defense. He said these guys are very multiple, and they play a lot of man coverage. That means one-on-ones. Gronowski is just going to have to make tight window throws. He's going to get the opportunity to do it. Can he do it? On that 93-yard drive, it wasn't all Gronowski's legs at the end of the game against Oregon. It was a lot of his arm, and he actually had some great balls on 3rd down and 4th down as well. He's going to have to do something similar, maybe even lead another go-ahead drive. Man, these Hawkeyes have been so close. Their 3 losses have all been on really close games. Iowa State, Indiana, Oregon combined 10 points in those 3 losses. So late, I was probably going to have to make a clutch drive, a touchdown drive, most likely.
So can we talk a little bit about the weather? Because obviously last week it was raining, it was tough in the weather, but is it a little rainy out there in California?
It actually, from some of the pictures, it is a little rainy. Are we able to pull up the laptop? Because we did see Madison Huricik from the Cedar Rapids Gazette post a photo. Oh, and yeah, there it is. So why don't we click on that? I mean, that is not the typical, it was 2.5 hours ago, not the typical Southern California weather. It's actually, I'd venture to say, a little bit nicer here in Iowa than it is in Southern California. I mean, wow, a little wind, a little rain. Now, honestly, who does this favor? That's the question. Does it favor Iowa, who likes the ground and pound, or does it favor USC, who likes to throw the ball a lot? I'm not really sure. It's not as if USC can't ground and pound. They have a very good running game. And it's not as if Iowa can't throw the ball. We just talked about Gronowski. I think the way I lean is this kind of leans towards the offense. Whichever offense is on the field with a wet grass field, not turf. These guys, the offensive players, obviously, it's football. You know where you're going on offense. Defense has to adjust, has to back up, so they might get slippery and slidey. And Iowa hasn't necessarily been good on grass. We saw them lose the game on grass against Iowa State in a somewhat dewy atmosphere. Curious what they can fix in terms of like their footing and their cleats. And that actually leads us to the conversation about USC's offense, which I think has a little bit of an advantage with this weather because they could make the Iowa defense slip and slide away. The guy you need to know is quarterback Jayden Maiava. He leads a USC team that ranks number 1 in the country in yards per game, 503.2 yards per game, against Iowa, who gives up 259 yards per game. That's number 4 in the country. So one of these things has to give. I really think Maiava and the guys you have to watch in the skill position players, Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane at wide receiver, as well as King Miller and Waymond Jordan at running back for USC. Those guys are going to make some big plays. The question is, can Iowa limit those big plays?
Right. And how much, I want to go back to the grass turf
thing. Yeah, sure.
How much of a difference does that really make between grass and turf? And Iowa plays on turf, right?
Iowa plays on turf, and the funny thing is they don't actually have a grass practice field. So the wet ball obviously hurt them last week. They gave up that safety on a bad snap. They had a couple bad snaps, the punter, Reese Dakin. But the wet field, the wet grass, it makes things a little bit slippery. Turf just naturally dries a little quicker. So on grass, you might have to wear different cleats. Hawkeye fans will remember this well. In the Iowa State game, the Cyhawk game, Caden Weechin, the wide receiver, actually slipped and that caused an Iowa State interception, a really game-changing play. Yeah. And I was there on Tuesday, a couple days later, when we were talking to Weechin, and Caden told us he wasn't wearing the right cleats. Okay. So, got to get that fixed. That's a little thing, but it's a huge thing too.
Just another factor for those Hawkeyes to take in. Try to get the win today.
Exactly, yeah. I want to take you guys back to Tuesday because we spoke with Kirk Ferentz and some of the players about this USC offense and how good they are. So these sound bites we're about to show you are a little all over the place. Someone asked Kirk Ferentz about tackling, and tackling was a bit of a problem in space for Iowa against Oregon and Indiana. Kirk was telling us you got to tackle well. And then we're going to hear from players, TJ Hall and Zach Lutmer, those guys talking about the USC offense and what they do well. Why don't we take a listen?
You know, if you want to be a good defensive football team, you got to tackle well. So, and would not disagree with what you said. Those are not our best tackling efforts overall as a game in game condition. So, you know, if we're going to play better Saturday, we're going to have to do a little bit better job. We got to try to get these guys down first attempt and first guy in, and you know, just do a better job there.
Oh man, it's going to be a great challenge. It's kind of something you ask for, like just to compete with them, and then it's really like also competing against yourself. You know, seeing how good you can do against some of the best receivers in the country. So, you know, I'm looking forward to the matchup, and, you know, I can't wait.
First, it starts with the run. I think they're leading the Big Ten in rushing, so we got to limit that. And then, obviously, you know, they got Mackay, and then they got Jacoby Lane, another good receiver. So we're definitely going to be honed in. Secondary's got to be locked in. Obviously, we got to stop the run first, but they're going to try to get the ball to their best players, and we got to try to limit that.
And you heard from Zach Lutmer there. That was actually my question, and I asked, like, are you excited for the matchup with Makai Lemon, who leads the Big Ten in receiving yards? And he said, you know, first thing is we got to stop the run, which is a classic Iowa answer. Like, maybe the layman watching, you know, me, I'm a C+ football mind compared to Lutmer, who's A+. And I see, wow, look at what these USC wide receivers can do, and Jaden Maiava, their quarterback. But he says, no. You may see those big plays in the highlight reel, but what makes USC great is their running game on 1st and 10. So I always say this. We say this in basically every pregame show I've ever done. 1st and 10, you got to hold USC to short gains 2 to 3 yards, because if you set up 2nd and long, 3rd and long, then you can play for the pass, play for the obvious passing down, pin your ears back and rush the pass rusher. Whereas if USC is able to pick up 7-8 yards, it opens up the playbook so much more for them.
Right, for sure. So obviously, coming off this emotional loss to Oregon, it was really close. People thought they had it there for a minute, and then that last-second field goal. How do they bounce back and try to get this win against USC?
Yeah, this one's so tough because you have such an emotional loss. It seemed like, oh my gosh, everything is going right for Iowa. Here we go. We're going to get the win. And then you get the win completely knocked out of your sails. Kinnick Stadium goes completely silent with the Atticus Sappington Oregon field goal. But here's the thing. You got to move on. It's really as simple as that. And we were asking players about it. We were asking Kirk Ferentz about it on Tuesday. This is actually the story I kind of focused on Tuesday. So for this pregame show, I stretched out the sound bites a little bit more so you can really hear fans what Kirk Ferentz and these players had to say. I was basically asking, how do you bounce back from such an emotional loss when a team hits you so hard and you think you're so close? You know, it's gonna sting, but how long can it sting? Will it sting for 24 hours? How do you make it not sting longer, because you have to move on? And the player said, why? It's because Kirk Ferentz is so good at it. I mean, Kirk's been doing it for nearly 30 years. He knows how to bounce back after an emotional loss and an emotional win. So I actually asked Kirk, and he kind of gave a funny answer. I asked him, what do you say that really resonates with these players? Why is it that nearly 30 years as a head coach of Iowa, how are you able to resonate your message with the players? Here's what Kirk had to say, as well as several players, about bouncing back.
Yeah, first of all, you never know if it does resonate or not. And you never know if you're saying the right thing or not. Time will tell. And believe me, you spend a lot of the week wondering about that and worrying about that, quite frankly. You know, you're not going to win every day. It's just the way it is. My wife reminds me of that all the time when we lose a game. Not that you want to hear it, but you're not going to win every game. You're trying like hell to do that. And at some point, if you can't deal with that, then you probably need to get out. But yeah, it's natural for it to hurt the game day. It hurts on Sunday, and then you got to move on. At least with us working on Mondays now instead of, the old days we took Monday off. We're forced physically to do it, and I think that helps the mental part too, because you got, especially, this week it's pretty easy. We got a team looking at us again that's equally a tough task as what we had last week. So, you better get your attention there real quickly, or else you're putting yourself at a bigger disadvantage going against a really tough team.
We have a great mentor. We have a great head guy that we believe everything he says, and everything he says is wise and smart, and you'd be dumb to not listen to him.
What can you share about whatever message he has said this week to bounce back?
It's the same things. That's what's so great about him is he's so consistent. He loves quotes, but they're all consistent. They're all the same message, and it's just eyes forward. Go back to the fundamentals, go back to the basics, and tighten those up. And teams that can do that more and more throughout a season, not just in camp, but improve throughout the entire season. Those are teams that end up being pretty good stories.
I can't say everything that he kind of said in our meeting on Sunday after the game, but I was just really impressed in how positive he was about the outlook of the rest of the season, and how we can kind of approach this week, and how we can just go out there and not have to kind of sit back, but we can go out and attack. We don't have to worry about what has happened before, but we got to continue to attack this week, have a positive mindset going into it, and just keep pushing forward. And it was kind of good to hear about his confidence in us as a team after the loss on Saturday.
There you heard from Bo Stevens and quarterback Mark Gronowski, and somewhat boring answers, but that's kind of the Iowa way. It's Coach Ferentz says the same thing to us: head up, focus on the fundamentals. And I kind of like what Bo Stevens said at the end. It's the teams that can work on the fundamentals and get better throughout the season, and not just in the preseason. They're getting better week to week. Those are the teams with great stories.
Some wise words from Kirk Ferentz there. I'm sure Iowa fans, lots of people saying, playoffs, is it possible? Do we have a shot? Do we have a dream? What do we think?
I mean, look, Emily, I'm going to say something wild, but I'm not saying it's impossible. Iowa can make the college football playoff. Iowa has a shot at making the college football playoff. Stick with me, Emily, because we're going to do it like this. We're going to pull up the ESPN's college football playoff ranking. Why don't you take a look at that? Iowa is now ranked number 21. They only dropped one spot after their loss to Oregon. What that tells me is that, and guys, pay attention to this column on the left. Don't worry about the AP. Just worry about the college football playoff ranking. What that tells me is that the college football playoff committee likes Iowa and respects Iowa for a close loss at home to Oregon on a last-second field goal. So that tells me that Iowa still has a chance. I'm going to lay out a little scenario.
Oh, boy.
And this is a scenario that gives Iowa a chance. It doesn't put Iowa in the playoffs, but it puts them in a spot where they can possibly make it. Remember this: 5 conference champions earn automatic bids to the college football playoff. It'll be most likely 99.9% chance it's going to be the Big Ten champion, the ACC champion, I can't think of the conferences, SEC champion, and Big 12 champion. Those are the 4 power conferences. And then you have a group of 5 champion with an automatic bid. That's most likely going to be USF, and it could be Navy as well. Now you work on the other spots. There are 12 spots in the college football playoff. The other spots will all be at-larges, very likely going to Power 4 teams. Let's pull up the rankings again. Here are the scenarios you're hoping for over the next few weeks. Obviously, if you're Iowa, you got to win out. You're done if you lose another one to USC. If Iowa wins out, they end the season at 9-3. Now, from the top to the bottom, I'm kind of going a little out of order here. We have Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Alabama, Georgia Tech, Texas Tech, Ole Miss, Oregon, and Notre Dame. We're going to assume all of those teams keep on winning, get to their respective conference championship games. And for Iowa's case, it doesn't really matter who wins the conference championship. Ohio State could beat Indiana in the Big Ten championship. Indiana could beat Ohio State. That doesn't really matter. The other at-large candidates, here's what we're going to hope if you're an Iowa fan. Texas, they're 7-2. Texas has to lose at least one more game. You'd love for them to lose 2. But they have Georgia today, AJ's Bulldogs, Bulldogs, Arkansas in 2 weeks, and Texas A&M. If Texas loses one of those games, that's good for Iowa. Same for Oklahoma. Oklahoma has Alabama today, they have Mizzou, and they have LSU. You need Oklahoma to lose one of those games. BYU, this is a Big 12 team. You need BYU and Utah to lose at least one more game and then lose to Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship game. What that means is BYU and Utah will have very poor at-large cases. Are you following me?
Mostly.
We have other teams that we need to get to 3 losses if you're Iowa. Vanderbilt, you really want them to get to 3 losses. They have Kentucky and they have Tennessee. You got to lose to one of those teams. Same thing with Miami. You'd love for Miami to lose one more, but the ideal scenario in the ACC, see these teams marked ACC. Look how many ACC teams are here. You want Georgia Tech to just win the ACC championship because they have 1 loss. You want them to keep winning and automatically get a bid to the college football playoff and basically knock out every other ACC team. And the one other team you need to take at least 1 loss is Michigan. Michigan has Northwestern today, then they have Maryland, and then they're at Ohio State. If all those things happen, then you have a mashup of 9-3 teams. 9-3 teams fighting for 2 at-large spots. Remember, these are the teams that make it are Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Texas Tech, Ole Miss, Oregon, Notre Dame, and 1 group of 5 team, most likely USF, South Florida. That's 10 teams. 2 spots left would either go to a 9-3 Oklahoma, a 9-3 Texas, a 9-3 Vanderbilt, a 9-3 Tennessee, 9-3 Iowa, 9-3 USC, 9-3 Utah. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams fighting for 2 spots. Look, I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but I don't mind Iowa's odds because if Iowa wins out, that means Iowa has a win at USC. That's a very impressive win. And assuming Oregon and Indiana do well as well, they would have Iowa, would have losses, close losses to those 2 teams. And if you're Iowa, I hate to do this to you, Iowa fans, but if you want to make your at-large case even better, you have to root for Iowa State because Iowa's loss to Iowa State is actually a really bad blemish. It's a close game, it's a rivalry game, but that's a really bad blemish on their at-large resume. Deep breath.
Sounds like a lot of what ifs. On
it is a lot of what ifs. But I did this all last night just in my notes app, and none of these are that unrealistic. I'm not asking Iowa fans to root for Notre Dame to lose twice or Oregon to lose twice. That stuff, that's never going to happen. I shouldn't say never. It's very likely not going to happen. But rooting for Texas to lose to Georgia. Rooting for Alabama to lose, Oklahoma to lose to Alabama, rooting for Vanderbilt to lose to Tennessee. These aren't unrealistic scenarios, and it gives Iowa a fighting chance. But obviously, throw all this out the window if you don't win today.
Right.
Iowa's got to beat USC today.
Gotta get the W, and then just kind of pray and hope everything goes their way.
Exactly. You kind of put yourself in this position by losing to Oregon last week. You don't really control your own destiny, but you still gotta win. It doesn't matter, long-term, short-term goals. You just want to win because it's football, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. One last thing I want to do. I want to give a shout out to our friend from the Waterloo Cedar Falls Courier, Ethan Petrick, who just welcomed a new baby girl, Annabelle Petrick, into the world. Waterloo Cedar Falls Courier writer, and if you're in that area, you might not get some tweets from Ethan because he is not in Los Angeles. He's got a little bit more important things to attend to. So a big congratulations to Ethan and his wife for welcoming a new baby girl. Clearly a future hockey player. I know Ethan's a big hockey fan. I know Ethan and his family will be watching the game closely, and all you Hawkeye fans we'll be watching it as well. 2:30, just about 10 minutes to go until kickoff in a must-win for Iowa if you want to even sniff the college football playoff. If you lose this, man, that's another one. That's a 13th straight loss to ranked opponents. But if you win this, you can get that monkey off your back and maybe, just maybe, win out. You got Michigan State next week for Senior Day at Kinnick Stadium. And then Black Friday against the Cornhuskers, which will be a good one. Definitely. But can't look past these games. Guys, enjoy the game, and we'll be with you at halftime.
Definitely tune in. We'll see how the Hawkeyes are doing, and hopefully they'll be up at that point.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see you then. Thanks so much for watching, and again, we'll catch you at halftime.